Alright, yeah, welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going into some more standard best of one. Today we're going to be playing around with a combo deck. It's been a while since we have comboed, my favourite way to play the game. Today we're going to be playing a 1000 Year Storm Breach list. So, the namesake cards, 1000 Year Storm, a 6-mana enchantment. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you copy it for each other instant or sorcery spell you've cast before it this turn. You may choose new targets for the copies. So, this very much incentivizes us to cast as many instants and sorceries as possible in a turn, so that we can effectively, in this deck, draw our entire deck, and then find our shocks, which are going to be our win condition in the list, to deal thousands of 2-damage pings to our opponent. As many as we can possibly manage anyway. Realistically, any life total that's not infinite is going to die to these shocks. We're also going to be comboing that with Underworld Breach, a 2-mana enchantment that says each non-land card in your graveyard has escape, and the escape cost is equal to the mana cost plus exile 3 other cards from your graveyard. And then at the beginning of your end step, you sacrifice Underworld Breach. So, we're going to be able to play Underworld Breach so that we can maximize our graveyard to use all of our instants and sorceries that we've cast previously throughout the game, and use this effectively as a draw like 7 or 8 times 9,000. You know, the more spells we cast, the better. So if we have a shock in hand with Underworld Breach in play, the shock in hand will go into our graveyard and then be castable for its escape cost. So this isn't counting what's currently in the graveyard, it's counting whatever's in the graveyard during the entire turn. So we can basically use our spells twice if they come from our hand rather than our graveyard. So we've got opts and shocks to have those cheap little triggers for 1000 Year Storm. Should mention as well, we're using Wilderness Reclamation, so we're going to be comboing that end step with essentially extra mana as well, because the one thing this card doesn't do very well is give you mana. Wilderness Reclamation helps you out a great deal there as well, though. 4 mana for an enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, you untap all lands you control. It's really nice to have this before 1000 Year Storm, which means on as late as turn 6, because we can find this pretty consistently with this deck due to the amount of card draw we've got. As late as turn 6, you can play this down. Wilderness Reclamation untaps your mana, and you've got 6 mana to play with, which is plenty to do at least a little bit of a mini combo. And I think a mini combo is definitely something you want to try and do. You don't necessarily always want to go for the win, but you want to be very careful with how you use your shocks and your Underworld Breaches. Underworld Breach is a card you only want to see when you are winning the game most of the time as well. You don't want to see it until you've really got your 1000 Year Storm out. So if you're wondering why our combo pieces are 3 and 3 and 4, basically reducing the odds of finding them naturally, it's because we've got things like Thirst for Meaning, which allows us to draw 3 cards and then discard 2 unless we discard an enchantment card. So any excess 1000 Year Storms and Breaches can go into the graveyard, so we have basically a draw 3, discard 1. Otherwise we can discard 2, which also helps as well thanks to the Underworld Breach, since this needs cards in graveyards to exile to the escape cost. If we drop in 2 lands into play, then we're only losing 1 instant or sorcery by casting Underworld Breach spells essentially. So it's really nice for that. It's always going to be useful, and it finds all 3 of our combo pieces, our Breach, Reclamation and 1000 Year Storm, and again also allows us to find instants and sorceries as well. As far as disruption's concerned, we mentioned we have shocks to deal 2 damage to any target. You can use these in the early game since we do have Underworld Breach. That does mean you get to use your graveyard to your advantage in that sense. We've got Scorching Dragonfires just as a little bit of additional value against mono red, because I noticed it was having a little bit of trouble. Initially we only had Shocks and Storm's Wraths, but I had to widen that range out a little bit, to be honest, because we were just dying to Anax into Embercleave every single turn, and it was just really torturous and awful. So we've increased the odds of winning that matchup by just having a lot more disruption. Scorching Dragonfire gets rid of Anax just fine. Doesn't get rid of Torbran, but in theory you should be able to Storm's Wrath, Flame Sweep and Dragonfire away everything else, so that Torbran is basically the only threat on their board. And if we can't deal with it, we've got Brazen Borrowers as well, which gives us that disruption against basically non-aggro matchups as well. But yeah, bouncing a Torbran, causing our opponent to play out their entire turn all over again is perfectly fine. So yeah, that's basically the deck. The deck should speak for itself as we go along. I should have mentioned we got a Flame Sweep in here for the instant speed board wipe. It might be better as a 2 and 2 with the Storm's Wrath. I do really like the Storm's Wrath's ability to deal a mass amount of damage without the need for a 1,000-Year Storm. But if we have a 1,000-Year Storm out and we have Flame Sweep, then these can be triggered on end step with a Wilderness Reclamation to deal, you know, more than a Storm's Wrath potentially. So it might want to be a 2-2. Early game Flame Sweeps are always quite nice as well, but I think that there are far more matchups where you might want to get rid of a 3 toughness creature without your 1,000-Year Storm around than there are Flame Sweeps where you can just do 2. So it's more of a hedging of our bets in this case, but this could be a balance that is maybe wrong. It might have to be 2-2. The mana base is pretty simple. I'm trying to cut down on the amount of shocks here because, again, mono red is really foul of a matchup, so we don't want to be shocking ourselves too much. But we do just fine as far as our mana base is concerned, thanks to things like Growth Spiral, which allows us to draw a card and put a land onto the battlefield. So we can use Growth Spiral to put those shocks into play tapped, and we can get past that initial urge in the early game to shock these into play so we can play something. We can play a lot slower and get these 1,000-Year Storms and Wilderness Reclamations out a lot earlier as well. We've got 3 Temple of Epiphanies to allow us to scry, very useful if we're going to be putting these into play at end step with Growth Spiral, so we get a better untap. And then we've got Fable Passages to thin the deck. 25 lands in total to make sure that we get 2,000-Year Storm and Wilderness Reclamation on time, and make sure that we have everything that we need to cast. Extra lands, never really a problem in the late game thanks to Thirst for Meaning. So that's essentially the deck. If you enjoy the deck and enjoy the video, make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks. This video is brought to you by the generous support of our wonderful patrons and channel members that you see here. If you'd like to support the channel and get access to cool content like sneak peeks, bonus videos, polls on future content, or access to a personal deck critique from myself every month, then hit the join button below the video or check out the Patreon link down in the description below. With all that said, let's get into the gameplay. Alrighty then, we are in, and I think this hand's perfectly keepable. It does need some extra lands, but we can find them from the Opt and Thirst for Meanings, because I'm sure we'll find our third land, no problemo. And then a Storm's Wrath if it's a creature deck like Mono Red, which is absolutely everywhere. An absolute plague on this format. And just Magic Arena in general. I swear it's literally been encouraged by dailies at this point. Nobody really enjoys playing Mono Red, right? It's so uninteresting, but I guess it's my opinion. Do I want to keep this land? I think I kind of do. Yeah, let's just have it. Can go tap land, opt then at that point. My god, it's not Mono Red. Is it Timur Clover? Could be. Alright, so we're going to go Temple so we can see what this opt will hit. If I like what's on top, then I don't feel too bad. And if I don't like it, then I get that extra little bit of scry for the opt value. I do not like it, so we get to go a little bit deeper with our opt. Good stuff. Alright, pass the turn. Opponent, let's see if you're in Teamer colours. Blue, green, red. White, excuse me. Blue, white controlling. Blue, green. Oh, Bogles. Alright, well, this Storm's Wrath's going to be pretty good, and the Brazen Borrower will be pretty decent as well. Yes, we do want the Storm's Wrath. We want to make sure our opponent's creatures never resolve. So we're going to go tap land. We're going to Brazen Borrow the Season of Growth so they don't get the scry if they play something like Paradise Druid or Citizen Champion. Al Said. Alright. Bounce that. Al Said also can give protection to enchantments, not just creatures. It's a little bit more than a God's Willing. We are closing in on a good old 1,000-Year Storm. So I think I'm going to go for Thirst for Meaning here and just see what we can get. Then again, do I want to just kill the Al Said now with a Storm's Wrath? And just make a land drop? It's also just equally slow, but this could be punished by them getting a past 4 power and toughness, which I think is doable, especially with an enchantment creature on the board. So they do like all that glitters and then Sentinel's Eyes, and it's out of Storm's Wrath range, that kind of thing. So they got Alsaid to the top, and Citizen Training. Okay. Taps out, draws a card, and we just Storm's Wrath it again, play a tap land. Hope our opponent eventually runs out of creatures. Next turn we're going with Thousand Year Storm. Our opponent shouldn't really be able to interact with that all that much. It's like Citizen Champion plus Sentinel's Eyes to get that guaranteed value. Which is fine by us, because our Storm's Wraths weren't going to stop that. Could find a Brazen Borrower, that'd be useful, I guess. Alright, so we're going to go Fabled Passage. And at this point, all we really want to find is cantrips and Wilderness Reclamation, I guess, as well. We will get more blue. Play Thousand Year Storm. Hope for the best. That Citizen Champion can get very large. All we need to do is find more instants and sorceries to increase the power of this Thirst for Meaning. Thirst for Meaning can actually allow us to potentially get ourselves a Wilderness Reclamation as well. They got the All the Glitters, the best possible enchantment for them here. 7/9. Probably got a little bit more. We've probably got maybe a turn or two, if that. To beat our opponent, or at least bounce them with Brazen Borrower. That's kind of the dream here. I guess they've got maybe Karamitra's Blessing, but now they've just told me they don't. So that's good. So we're taking half our life total here. We need to find Brazen Borrower or something along that sort. Wilderness Reclamation. Okay, so we can Wilderness Reclamation. We can play our land drop, play Thirst for Meaning, then we untap with 7 mana. We get 1 of 3 cards to play around with. There's a lot of real bad cards that we could get, so I'm almost tempted to not play the Mountain here. Just to see some extra cards, keep 2 cards in hand and maybe trigger 2, but if we hit loads of lands then we're in a real bad spot. Let's give our opponent the old thinking. Because we actually just straight up could die if we're... Oh, they're actually the worst. Never mind. Why are people so horrible in this game? I don't get it. Let's play Wilderness Reclamation. I think we're going for the 2 cards instead of 1. So we're going to end turn. Go Thirst for Meaning. Draw 3. Discard. I think we're discarding lands. They're not going to do as much good here. Go Growth Spiral. Draw 2 cards. That's terrible, but we get a Scry. Oh, the dream. And then we go Brazen Borrower, good game to you. There we go. Bounce you, bounce you. There we go, their entire board's gone. Alright. We live on. God, I hate emotes. Really do. They're absolutely worse than chat. It's a hot take. I don't deny that. It is indeed an absolute hot take to say that emotes are worse than chat, but think of it this way. Are you more likely, if you're a horrible person but not quite over the edge, to emote spam, or to type into a chat how much you hate that person? I feel like if you go out of your way to type something out, you're a lot worse than just a normal person who feels like being a bit of a dick and just going, good game, good game, good game, nice, good game, thinking, nice, nice, oops. All of that. I think emotes are much worse. They make me feel horrible anyway. Whereas if someone types a horrible message to me, I kind of giggle about it. But emotes... I don't even know if these people are being nice when they emote me, you know? Some cases it's blatantly bloody obvious that they're being absolutely terrible human beings, but... Hunted Witness. I don't know why you're not pretending to have Karamitra's Blessing at all times. I need a really good spell here, and it needs to chain into another really good spell. Storm's Wrath, that'll do, pig. Alright. Yeah. So they get to scry, and then they get to put the aura on the token, so we're probably still just dead. But we'll see. Can you 10 me here? It's now indestructible, so we need literal Brazen Borrower to deal with it, or we need to just win if we don't die here, but I think we die here. I think it's too easy to just straight up die. In fact, I'm just going to double Brazen Borrower here. It's not going to make a big difference to the board state, but I don't see anything we play next turn really making too much of a difference to this play. It's like we Storm's Wrath if we want to Storm's Wrath. We're going to have to do it regardless. So these borrowers that can't block aren't really going to make any impact on that. So I'm just going to do this so that I have absolutely no response. So they can do whatever they want. I don't think we're dead, actually. I think we might be alive. We need to draw, like, Thirst for Meaning, or Opt, or Growth Spiral. If it's Growth Spiral or Opt, they need to hit another Growth Spiral, Opt, or Thirst for Meaning. We have to have card advantage. I guess Underworld Breach is really good as well. Underworld Breach opens these options to us. Yeah, they got the All That Glitters, so that is 7 points of damage, going to 3. So we can afford to shock ourselves, should it come to it. Let's please draw a good card so this match matters. Come on. Alright. Okay. Growth Spiral. Oh, the magic gods, they smile upon me. Opt. Underworld Breach. Wilderness Reclamation to the bottom. We got one in hand, we can't cast it anyway. Thirst for Meaning. Thirst for Meaning. Let's go with... We're not really going to ever have enough mana, I don't think, to do anything of note. So I think we want to go Underworld Breach and play a end step. Well, let's just do the opting first, I think. Let's go Breeding Pool, Mountain, Fabled Passage. Stomping Ground to the bottom. We're looking for like shocks and things like that now. Flame Sweep. I think we can reasonably Flame Sweep here, and they've not got their Bronzehide Lion up, so we don't want that because we can't cast it. There's Shock. Okay. We're going to opt, get rid of Storm's Wrath, Storm's Wrath, Storm's Wrath. We ain't casting them. Don't want that, can't cast it. Got an opt. Don't want that, can't cast it. Don't want that, can't cast it. And do not want that because we can't cast it. Alright, we're going to go to combat, swing for 6. We are going to play a forest. And let's go. Float our mana, untap our mana. We're going to Thirst for Meaning. Draw a million cards, I think we've won. We are going to discard Wilderness Reclamation. Gonna go again. Discard 1,000 Year Storm. Should probably be discarding more, honestly. Because we want cards in the yard for Underworld Breaching. Decline, put all these lands in the yard. And then resolve that one. Decline, put lands in the yard. We're then going to shock our opponent in the face. Resolve all. There we go, we win. Shock goes in the yard. Excuse me? Well, at least we got another shock here. Why did my Underworld Breach sacrifice when I had playables in my graveyard and I didn't hit that resolve to the trigger? I guess that's something to be aware of. Good game, opponent who's not very nice. Alrighty then, we're in. We've got lots of interaction, all colours of mana, and a Wilderness Reclamation. We need a little bit of card draw, but hopefully the disruption will allow us to get there. And we'll see what we're up against. It's not a bad mono red hand. It's not a terrible hand for, I think, a lot of reasons, to be honest. Jeskai Fires is probably really bad. Control is probably real bad, but we're not winning against control decks anyway. We've got too many combo pieces we need to resolve, and counter magic is real. Windscarred Craig, budget or fires? I'm not really sure what this is. Yeah, we're just gonna go island. We'll use Steam Vent's tap next turn. We'll hold open Brazen Borrower here if it helps us to disrupt our opponent and slow them down a little bit. Yeah, Jeskai Fires it is. Thirst for Meaning. Alright, yeah, I think we're just going to go tap lands. Pass the turn. Next time we get to go Wilderness Reclamation. Narset. Don't you just love not being able to draw cards? Isn't it great? Don't you just love having to do this, otherwise your deck doesn't do anything? Scorching Dragonfire. Yeah. Alright. Fun times with Narset, Parter of Veils. Everybody's favourite. Let's go Flame Sweep, that seems awful in this matchup. Dragonfire gets rid of Narset. And we can get rid of Temple. Shocking the Stomping Grounds, I think will be just fine. This opponent gets a pick of whatever they want again.
Keep an open mind.
We get to Dragonfire Narset though. 3 Fairy. Also, funnily enough, shuts off our entire game plan. Did I tell you this is a horrible matchup? Hopefully I made that clear. Might want the mana here. We do not. Doing really well so far. Play tap lands, untap all the mana, and pass it up. If they go for Teferi, bounce. Then we have Brazen Borrower as well. It'll tick up to 5 if we do this in response, and then we can shock and attack him with Brazen Borrower.
Responsibility. Here we go.
Yeah, alright, so let's get rid of Teferi. I mean, we're dealing with his nonsense easily enough. The problem is that we just don't have anything going on for us anymore. I need 1,000 Year Storms, and I need lots of card draw. We've kind of flailed from having to interact with our opponent. So they got fires into land into 5-drop Cavalier, probably. Am I wrong or am I right? Usually I'm right, because if I say something's horrible against me, it usually happens. What you got? Storm's Wrath. I actually don't care. Alright, that's good. So that's their entire turn. We got an opt. Okay, I'm just going to hold cards until I absolutely have to go off. Because if we can hold cards until Thousand Year Storm, that's all the better. Drawn from Dreams gets their 2 best cards in their deck. So they're probably looking for a land because they didn't play one last turn. And Cavalier. Or Kenneth. Could be digging for Teferis and Narsets. They already know that I hate them very much. Teferi shuts off Wilderness Reclamation. Narset shuts off everything. So, have you got both? I don't mind Teferi minus on Wilderness Reclamation. I really, really despise Elspeth Conquers Death on Wilderness Reclamation, though. That kind of ruins all the fun. Because now that's both a Teferi and a removal spell. Thirst for Meaning. Okay, well, let's do this now. I need something good here. Can't cast anything on my turn. Because they're playing Hearthstone. Alright, let's get rid of the lands, go Thirst for Meaning again. Okay, get rid of Steam Vents and... Shock, I think. Play our lands, crack it so we can Growth Spiral. Into green source, which we should have in our deck. Yep. I'll just do this now. Scorching Dragonfire, okay. So all my spells cost 1 million on my next turn. And then the turn after that, all my spells are sorcery speed. Because I've given them no reason for my Teferi to get minused. And there's Cavalier. Yeah, alright, here we go. Really hate this. Mm-hmm. And another one. Alright, so we're potentially dead next turn. If they've got Red Cavalier, they can play it, spend it to give +3/+0 on all things. We got Thousand Year Storm. So if they don't have Red Cavalier, we might have a game going on here. But we know that they've got Teferi minus, so it's not going to make a difference. They get to Scry. This deck's just too consistent. I wouldn't ever try to beat this with any kind of meta deck, to be honest. All you can hope for is that they don't draw very well. We all know that they do. So Teferi minus Thousand Year Storm. Fun's over. Yeah. Even if we played Thousand Year Storm next turn, we've only got 2 mana left open, and nothing we can realistically do gets rid of double Cavaliers, and they're already attacking for half our life total, which is what we'll have left. So just have more. Have more, opponent. Red Cavalier. Kenneth. Blue Cavalier, okay. Still got 1 spell left to cast. So you put everything that's not Kenneth and Red Cavalier back. Play it, give 1 million +1/+0s. Never mind. Okay. Still can't win, though. I just want to see what we'll draw next turn. So if we'd have kept Thousand Year Storm in play, we'd have had enough here. It's a big if, because we didn't. Yeah, let's have a look, see what's on top. Brazen Borrower. Storm's Wrath, Borrower leaves 14 points left on board. We're at 10. Yep, still, yet again, not going to be enough. Double Storm's Wrath we can't afford, because we have tapped out and we're 1 mana short. That would have saved us. But we had to opt to find it, so, yep, next game. Alright, we're in. We basically have a 6-card hand because of 1,000 Year Storm, unless they've got Hand Disruption. The mana base, though, kind of makes me want to keep this, so I think I am. I think I'm just going to make my land drops consistently up to 1,000 Year Storm. We've got Storm's Wrath, which should be able to wipe the board of anything our opponent's playing. And hope for the best. Alright, Healer's Hawk they're leading off with. We got Brazen Borrower, not too bad. Oh yes, let's take Wilderness Reclamation. Alright, we got pretty much the combo established now. Well, in our hand anyway, it's not established. Established would suggest that it's already on board and ready to go and being useful, which is not the case. So, opponent with that 1 Healer's Hawk, are you going to be playing a Heliod life gain deck, or are you going to be playing a Bogles deck? Heliod, looks like. Alsaid. And swing for 1. Okay. Well then. Question becomes, do I want to shock myself just so I have Brazen Borrower open? Because if they have Heliod, then they get 2 life gain triggers. Am I going to be able to race that? I think I might be able to race that if I Brazen Borrower Heliod the second time they attack, and then go for the Storm's Wrath. I think that's enough damage, but it all depends on whether this Alsaid is untapped and ready to be activated, because it could keep the Healer's Hawk around. I don't think bouncing a 1-drop with Brazen Borrower is a good idea, so they really do need to have Heliod in hand for it to matter. I think I'm just going to go Breeding Poo tapped. See if I get punished. Land Heliod, go for it. Linden. Okay, that's fine. That is totally fine. Alright, so we're just going to go Stomping Ground tapped. We got the Brazen Borrower if we absolutely need it. Could use it to get our opponent to just tap out and replay a Linden, and then we go Storm's Wrath. I think that's okay. We also don't necessarily want our opponent having so much life, since our win con is shocking our opponent to the face. We can do a lot of damage with our shocks, but the more life they have, the worse it gets, really. Alright, so we're in that situation now that we feared, which is that our opponent has Alsaid open, and they could very much just protect Linden. I'm guessing that's what they'd want to do. But we get rid of 2 1/1s and leave them with a 3/3. It's not great. I might just threaten them with a Brazen Borrower, honestly. Threaten to kill their Healer's Hawk. So, yeah, let's... Do I establish Wilderness Reclamation here? That's a toughie. We've got 2 reds. Got 2 green. I think we just want more blue. I think I go Reclamation and then Borrower for Healer's Hawk. Keeps that back at least. Alright, land. Pretty flooded out for our opponent. Getting in with the Healer's Hawk. We're going to go for the Borrower. And attempt the block. It's like we're getting 1 creature off the board at least. Yep, this is totally fine. Got Stomping Ground, so we're going to go with a Storm's Wrath, and they're going to get rid of the Alsaid. Take a little bit less life, and we've got the triple 1,000 Year Storm, which is about as unlucky as it could possibly get. So, protection from red. It's just a creature off the board, though, at the end of the day, and that's all we really want. Can't afford to shock ourselves next turn, so let's do that instead of thinning the deck, even though we do really want thinning potential. So we take 3, you go up to 33. Yeah, I think the first time we go for like shocks and whatnot, it's going to have to be a situation where we kill their board state first. Luckily for us, we already have the Wilderness Reclamation out, which means I can discard an extra 1,000-Year Storm to Thirst for Meaning, and we have spare mana left open. I think we're going to want extra blue here. So we're going to play 1,000-Year Storm. And then we're going to untap Thirst for Meaning, get rid of 1,000-Year Storm. And hopefully find a little bit of removal. But in theory, I don't think we're going to need it. If they played Heliod, they'd get 2 attack triggers. So that's 5-6 damage. Oh, they're getting an Arden Veil as well. This would be 7 damage. I don't know if they could push that extra 1 point, realistically. I guess if they've got, like, Raise the Alarm and Heliod. Something like that, if they could flash in a creature. Or 2 creatures. Instead of just the 1 on Arden Veil they could win. I don't think that's realistic, though, to expect that. So I'm not going to play around it. Not that I could, anyway. Opponent, I think they've realised that they're very likely to lose, and now they're roping. It's usually what happens when we get roped. Someone realises the jig is up. Alright, so Thirst for Meaning. Draw 3, discard 1. Yes! That's what you love to see. Alright, so we can go Growth Spiral, I think, here, and then we've got Triple Shock. We want to line up our... we don't have the Linden Kill there to do that, though. Maybe I just get rid of Alseid. We're going to pass. What they're going to do is they're going to Arden Veil activate. There we go. Kill Alseid. Trigger 1,000-Year Storm. Did I do this wrong? I should have opted first, right? Yeah, I should have opted first. Oops. That's fine. We'll go Growth Spiral. Yeah, I got my sequencing wrong. Forgotten I didn't quite get what I needed there. We got Temple. Scry, we want to find... Scorching Dragonfire is not awful, but it doesn't win us the game. We're going for the win now. So let's use the card advantage for the win. Yeah, that's an opt. That's a good card. And then another Steam Vents gives us 1,000,000 mana to work with. Yeah, I don't think we can lose. I think with Alseid gone, we're pretty much guaranteed to win here now. We can even go for double 1,000-Year Storm, which I think will be hilarious. So that's absolutely what we're going to do. It's probably very much unnecessary, but... It is a big but. Actually, maybe not, because we need, like, Underworld Breach to win, I think. So, let's opt. I need to find Underworld Breach before end step here. So we've got all the action in the world. Shock, though, buys me enough time. That's also a perfectly acceptable card here. Yeah, we're not going to be able to do the double 1,000-Year Storm, realistically. Bottom that. The Storm's Wrath's pretty good. There's Underworld Breach. Yeah, let's just go for the win. Let's not mess about. Our opponent has been very courteous to us here, so... We want to Underworld Breach. So we have that available. Now we have all these cards available. We're going to go for Thirst for Meaning. I think we can 35 our opponent easily here. With double shock. It's triple shock, really, because this shock goes straight into our graveyard. So we're going to get rid of 1,000-Year Storm here. And draw 3 more. This time getting rid of 2 lands. And draw 3 more. Getting rid of Stomping Ground, Storm's Wrath, which we're not going to need because we've won. We're going to play our Mountain. And then it's going to be a case of opting. Opponent oopsing. Yeah, it's a GG. We don't need Brazen Borrower. Although it is another instant and sorcery trigger. We just have already enough as it is. Let's keep the Growth Spiral for card draw. Don't need the land. More Growth Spirals, okay. And yeah, sure, more Growth Spirals. Alright, so now we go to end step. We don't need to fire the shock off just yet. And we will trigger them like that, yes. Float, untap. I'm gonna Growth Spiral. And this all ends when we've got enough to double, triple shock. 3 red mana left open, essentially. Breeding Pool, untapped, go to 2. Don't think we need to worry about a life total in that sense. Get to put a mountain in place. We're ramping, effectively, now. With these Growth Spirals. So we could go absolutely crazy, but as I said, our opponent's been very nice in letting us play this out, so... excuse me. Well then. Well, now we have to go really all in. Ah, Magic the Gathering. Resolve, there's a shock. Alright. That's all we really needed to find is more shocks. And once we're comfortable that we have enough triggers, we'll win. Alright. We got Flame Sweeps. I just want to see how many triggers this is to know how many shocks we've got. 7. Let me just not resolve all. I'm afraid that might just resolve all and end my turn as well. Alright. Let's go Thirst for Meaning. I think this is enough at this point, so let's just end this off. And we'll breach into the trash, where it belongs for screwing me. But I guess this is, Oh. we've got a few too little cards here. Let's go Shock to face before we mill ourselves. And... Growth Spiral. No, don't Growth Spiral. Shock to face again. Resolve all. You. Keep track of the cards you have in hand as well. Alright. Cards you have in your deck, should I say. Alright, should be up to 30 odd them. Yeah, I got 5 cards left. I should not be Thirst for Meaning. Alright, so we have their life total with the first shock, so this one should get them just fine. Thank you, opponent, for being courteous and allowing me to win here. Jesus. -1. We cut that one close. Oh my goodness. Yeah, keep track of the cards you got left in your deck. That's an important piece of the combo. Also, the combo will screw you because Magic Arena doesn't know how to play Magic. So keep an eye out for Underworld Breach resolving. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the deck. It's not the most competitive thing in the world. It was having a lot of troubles against Mono Red, but since I actually tweaked it a little bit to add like Scorching Dragonfires and Flame Sweeps and things like that, it seems to be doing a lot better against those matchups. Seems as though Mono White Heliod is a thing as well, and we do really good against that, as you can maybe tell. But every single game is close, so it's on the edge of the seat level of gameplay for this one, so if you're into that kind of thing, then you're going to enjoy this list. Take into account all of the issues that I mentioned as well if you do play the deck. But other than that, like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Ta-ra!